Hi, I'm Olivia, and what I'm about to share isn't just a story about a wedding gift. It's a tale of family betrayal and the unexpected twists life throws when you least expect them. Growing up, I always felt overshadowed by my younger sister, Isella. While I dedicated myself to building my interior design business in the confines of our small, cluttered apartment, she took a more traditional route: law school, prestigious firms, and the picture-perfect life our parents had always envisioned for her. Don't get me wrong, I was proud of her. But in our family, her achievements always seemed to outshine what my mother dismissed as my little design project. What they didn't realize was that my so-called project had quietly evolved into a thriving boutique design studio, catering to high-profile clients and earning me a solid reputation in the industry. I never flaunted my success. Not because I was ashamed, but because I had long accepted that seeking validation from my family was a losing battle. I lived modestly in a small apartment, drove an aging car, and poured every cent I earned back into my business. Meanwhile, Isella showcased her high-paying legal career with designer wardrobes, extravagant vacations, and a lifestyle that our parents eagerly helped maintain, despite her mounting student loan debt. Everything shifted when Isella announced her engagement to Andrew, a partner at her firm. From that moment, the wedding became the family's sole obsession. Every gathering, every conversation, every Sunday brunch revolved around planning her perfect day. Wanting to contribute, I offered to design her wedding decor as my gift. "Oh, Liv," Isella chuckled at a family dinner, her tone laced with subtle condescension. "That's sweet, but I've already hired the city's top designer. I need someone with actual experience." Our mother nodded in agreement, adding, "Dear, this is an elite wedding. We can't afford to take risks with your creative ideas." Their words stung, but I swallowed my pride. If they couldn't value my talent, I would give them something they couldn't easily dismiss: a $50,000 check as a wedding gift, along with a custom-designed honeymoon gown for Isella. I had it all planned. A breathtaking silk dress in emerald green, a shade that would accentuate her eyes, adorned with hand-embroidered pearls, something worthy of an exclusive boutique. On the night of their lavish engagement party at the Rosewood Estate, the same grand venue where the wedding would be held, I arrived carrying my gift, feeling a mix of excitement and unease. The estate, a stunning 19th century mansion known for hosting the city's elite, exuded luxury. As I stepped through its grand entrance, the perfectly wrapped box in my arms, I took in the opulent chandeliers, marble floors, and sprawling gardens. I found Isella surrounded by her law firm colleagues, basking in attention. When she spotted me, her expression briefly faltered, but I approached with a warm smile. "Isella, I wanted to give you your gift early," I said, extending the envelope in the carefully wrapped box. "I hope you'll love it." She opened the envelope first. As her eyes scanned the check, I expected a surprise, maybe even gratitude. Instead, a flicker of irritation crossed her face. $50,000, she said loudly, her voice drawing the attention of nearby guests. "What are you trying to do? Compete with my salary now?" Before I could respond, she tore open the box, yanking out the gown with such force that delicate pearls scattered across the polished marble floor. "And what is this supposed to be?" she scoffed, holding the dress like it was something worthless. "A knockoff? Did you actually think I'd wear something from your little business on my honeymoon?" Our mother rushed over, her expression clouded with disapproval. "Liv, really? Trying to steal the spotlight at your sister's engagement party?" she scolded. "This is exactly why we can't trust you with important events." I stood frozen as Isella carelessly crumpled the dress, shoving it back into box, along with the check. "I don't need your pity, Liv. Just leave. Your presence is ruining my special day." The room fell into an uneasy silence. Every eye was on us. Andrew, Isella's fiancé, stood awkwardly to the side, avoiding eye contact. Some guests exchanged hushed whispers, while others pretended to focus intently on their champagne glasses. "Fine," I said, my voice eerily steady. "I'll go. Congratulations on your engagement." As I turned to leave, my mother's voice rang out behind me. "This is exactly why we don't invite you to family events. You always make it about yourself." I walked out of the Rosewood Estate with my head held high, but inside, my heart was breaking. What they didn't realize was that their cruel rejection was about to set off a chain of events that would turn their world upside down. While they obsessed over their perfect wedding at the Rosewood estate, they had no idea I was about to make a move that would shake their carefully curated reality. That night, sitting alone in my modest apartment, the one they loved to mock, I made a decision that would change our family dynamic forever. I opened my laptop and began digging into the estate's ownership details. What I found was the first piece of a plan that would leave my family speechless. The grand venue, as it turned out, was quietly being put up for sale. The elderly couple who owned it were looking to retire, hoping to sell to someone who would honor its history while bringing new energy to its future. What they didn't know was that my so-called little business had grown far beyond what my family had ever acknowledged. My design studio had secured partnerships with elite clients, and I had built strong connections with some of the most high-end retailers in the country. My small apartment and aging car weren't signs of failure. They were the sacrifices I made to save, invest, and build something substantial. As I stared at the estate's listing, a vision took shape. I had the means to purchase it. More importantly, I had the ambition to transform it. But secrecy was key. Timing had to be perfect. The next morning, I called Alex, my lawyer and longtime business confidant. "I need this done quietly," I told him. "No one can know I'm the buyer until the deal is finalized." Alex understood immediately. We set up a holding company to handle the transaction, ensuring my name stayed off public records. Then began weeks of careful negotiations, property inspections, and strategic planning, all while my family remained completely oblivious to the storm brewing behind the scenes. The irony was almost poetic when Isela called me one evening, her tone suddenly syrupy sweet. "Liv, I've been thinking, maybe you could help with a few wedding details? Nothing major, of course. Just small things, like assembling the guest welcome bags." I smiled to myself, already knowing how drastically things were about to shift. "Of course, ISA," I said smoothly. I'd love to help. 2 months before the wedding, the purchase was finalized. Standing in the grand ballroom, my grand ballroom, where I had once been humiliated, I took a deep breath. The chandeliers glowed above me, casting golden reflections on the polished floors. The estate was now mine. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, the former owners, handed me the keys with misty eyes. "We've been waiting for someone like you," Mrs. Thompson said warmly. "Someone who respects tradition but isn't afraid of change. Promise us you'll keep the spirit of this place alive." I met her gaze and nodded. "I promise." And I meant it. But first, there was a wedding to prepare for, a wedding my sister never saw coming. As I hung up the phone, a slow, knowing smile crossed my lips. "Don't worry," I murmured. "I'm sure everything will work out exactly as it should." I took a slow, deliberate walk to the grand halls of my newly acquired estate. The very walls that had once echoed with my humiliation were now the backdrop for something entirely different. The first chapter of this story had ended, but what came next? That was where things would truly get interesting. In the following weeks, I balanced patience with precision. As the new owner of the esteemed Stonebrick estate, I meticulously reviewed every upcoming event. Naturally, my sister's wedding caught my attention, and I knew a few adjustments were in order. Technically, everything was set, but as the owner, I had the authority to make necessary changes. I brought in a fresh team, upgraded the estate's amenities, and introduced stricter event policies. All reasonable, of course. But coincidentally, these updates posed unexpected complications for Sophia's wedding in ways she never could have predicted. The first ripple hit when my event coordinator, Lily, reached out to her. "Miss Matthews, I'm calling regarding your wedding plans," Lily explained in her usual professional tone. "Under the estate's new management, all vendors must now be licensed and insured through our approved list." The reaction was immediate. Panic. Sophia called me in a frenzy. "Isabella, you need to fix this," she demanded. "The new owners at Stonebrick are ruining everything. Half my vendors aren't on their ridiculous approved list, and they won't make exceptions." I kept my voice measured. "That sounds stressful. Have you tried speaking with the new owner?" "They won't even return my calls," she practically shrieked. "The wedding is in 3 weeks, and everything is falling apart. Even Mom can't get through to them. A smirk tugged at the corners of my lips. So, even our mother, so confident in her influence, had hit a brick wall with a mysterious new owner. No one was budging, not even for her. Then came the breaking point. 2 weeks before the wedding, Sophia, our mother, her wedding planner, and a few vendors arrived at Stonebrick for the final walkthrough. They expected to tie up last-minute details. Instead, they were greeted by my newly appointed venue manager, Angela, a woman I had chosen specifically for her sharp professionalism and zero tolerance for nonsense. "I'm afraid we have a few issues to address," Angela said, consulting her tablet. "The guest list exceeds our updated safety regulations. Your caterer does not meet our insurance requirements, and the outdoor ceremony site you selected is currently under restoration." From my office window, I had the perfect vantage point to watch Sophia's face turn an alarming shade of red. "This is outrageous," she exploded. "Do you have any idea who I am? Who my fiancé is? We're suing. Ever the diplomat, our mother attempted her signature charm. I'm sure we can work something out," she cooed. "Money is no object. The previous owners were always accommodating." Angela remained unfazed. "The new owner is committed to maintaining the estate's highest standards," she replied smoothly. "If you'd like, I can arrange a meeting for you to discuss your concerns." Sophia's eyes flashed. "Yes, get them here. Now." Angela's lips curled into a polite smile. "She's already here." That was my cue. I descended the grand staircase at a measured pace, savoring every second as their stunned expressions shifted from confusion to sheer disbelief. "Good afternoon, Sophia, Mother," I greeted coolly, letting the words linger. "Welcome to my establishment." Silence crashed over the room like a tidal wave. Sophia's face cycled to a storm of emotions: shock, disbelief, fury. Our mother, clutching her designer purse, as if it could save her, had gone ghostly pale. "Asterisk you," Sophia gasped. "This is impossible. You can't afford this place. Stonebrick is worth millions." I stepped closer, lowering my voice just enough to make sure every word sank in. "Remember my little hobby?" I mused, tilting my head. "Turns out, designing luxury interiors can be highly profitable when done right. The same dedication you pour into law school, I poured into building my brand. The only difference is..." I let the sentence hang in the air, watching as the realization hit them like a thunderclap. I accomplished it without loans and without anyone's assistance. "But the wedding," our mother interjected, her voice unsteady. "You're not seriously thinking of ruining your sister's big day?" I arched an eyebrow. "Ruin it? The way you ruined my engagement party, you mean?" "No. I'm simply ensuring that every event held at Stonebrick upholds our new standards of excellence. Whether or not that includes Sophia's wedding is entirely up to you." Sensing the tension thickening in the room, the wedding planner hurriedly tried to usher the vendors out, but Sophia wasn't done. "You did this on purpose," she seethed, eyes ablaze. "You bought this place just to get back at me." I exhaled slowly, keeping my composure. "Actually, I purchased it because it's a smart business investment. The fact that it also serves as poetic justice, well, that's just a bonus. Now you have two options. You can scramble to find another venue with only 2 weeks to spare, or..." I met her glare with unwavering calm. "You can genuinely apologize for how you treated me at the engagement party, and we can work together to make your wedding as stunning as it was meant to be. Your call." For what felt like an eternity, Sophia and our mother huddled together in hushed, urgent conversation. I could practically see their calculations, the damage control, the desperate weighing of options. Finding another venue this late would be a disaster. The gossip, the humiliation, the sheer social fallout. There was no winning move. At last, Sophia inhaled deeply and stepped forward. Her face was flushed, her shoulders tense, but her voice was steady. "I'm sorry, Isabella," she said at last. "What I did at your engagement party was cruel and ungrateful. I was jealous of your success, and I lashed out. The dress you made was beautiful. The gift was generous. I didn't deserve either." I studied her carefully. For the first time, there was something real behind her words. "And our mother?" She remained stiff, lips pressed into a thin line. Finally, after a long pause, she gave a slight, reluctant nod. "And you, Mother?" I prompted. "Anything to add?" She straightened, still holding her pride. "I may have misjudged you, and perhaps I underestimated you." It wasn't a full apology, but for her it was monumental. I gave a slight nod, then turned to Angela. "Do what you can to accommodate their original plans, where possible, but all safety and insurance regulations remain non-negotiable." When the wedding finally took place, it was breathtaking, just not in the way Sophia had originally envisioned. The guest list had to be trimmed to meet our new capacity limits. Some vendors had to be replaced to comply with the estate's updated policies. Yet, in the end, the affair was more refined, more intimate, and far more elegant than the extravagant spectacle she had initially planned. And Sophia? She wore 2 dresses that day. For the ceremony, the custom gown flown in from Paris. For the reception, the blue dress, the very one I had designed for her, the one she had tossed aside without a second thought. I had painstakingly restored it, each crystal delicately reattached, each stitch returned to perfection, a silent testament to the power of second chances. But the biggest surprise came in the months that followed. My success with Stonebrook was undeniable, and suddenly, my family began seeing me in a new light. Sophia, for the first time, sought out my business advice, admitting that she was growing weary of the corporate grind and was considering launching her own practice. Our mother, though still offering unsolicited opinions on my personal life, began expressing genuine pride in what I had built. As for me, I kept my modest apartment and my well-worn car. But I moved my design studio into Stonebrook, converting one of its wings into a creative space where I could work while overlooking the lush gardens. The Thompsons, Stonebrook's previous owners, visited often, delighted to see that I had honored its legacy while guiding it into a new era. On quiet nights, after the last guest had departed and the final lights had dimmed, I would walk through the grand ballroom. The very room where my humiliation had once played out now echoed with laughter, love, and celebration. Weddings, anniversaries, milestone events, each one a reminder that success is the most satisfying form of retribution. But forgiveness? That's the real victory. This wasn't just about proving my worth to my family. It was about proving it to myself. Stonebrook wasn't just a business venture. It was a statement, a declaration that the person they dismissed, the one they underestimated, was the one they should have valued all along. And that $50,000 check I once tried to give Sophia, I invested it into Stonebrook. It became the seed money for a scholarship fund for aspiring entrepreneurs in the fashion and event planning industries. Because sometimes the best way to move forward is to bring others with you